Hello everyone, welcome to this video. As promised in the last video, we learned about how to use the API, and I told you the guys that in next video I'll be telling how to code an API using Flask in a simple way. So yeah, this video is about that, and I will be coding a simple. Okay, so let's talk about the contents. I will be coding a simple Wikipedia API using Flask, and then we will learn to deploy and API on servers, and we will test it locally also while debugging and all that part. And the next step is users, which I've already explained. And so I will be telling you how to get that link, which like I was explaining in that previous video, or the base URL endpoint and all the queries part, and I will be explaining in this video. So okay. Uh, what will be the requirements? Requirements will be, again, I will be using a Wikipedia module for fetching the data, and then I will be using Flask to show that data and render it over the web. Okay, so this will be a pretty simple example of how to code an API. And then in next sessions, probably I will learn about web scraping, and then we will move on to the complex things, like we will be scraping data from live data from a website, and then we will be rendering it using our API. And I will be showing that example of coding an API in the future examples. Okay, so let's get started with this particular API which I will be showing you today. Let's get rid of this. So just create a new folder, and we'll name it Wiki API. Then add a folder and create a new file. Let's call it app.py. Save it on there it is. Let's search for it. Wiki. Okay, so basically I told you that we require two modules, so we will just quickly install it. So pip3 install flask comma Wikipedia. This will fetch those modules. Okay. Okay, so it's already installed in my computer, so it will take a while and get installed. So that you can get rid of this, then you can start with importing Flask. It's from Flask, import Flask. Yeah, and one more thing, guys, you guys don't need to be dependent on Flask. You can also use other frameworks. Like there are many other frameworks which you can look into. One of the most famous examples I will tell you. It is like you can also do that using Fast API. Also, it's also a very popular framework these days, and it also provides docs, which is pretty amazing. I will be making a separate video on that someday, maybe. So yeah, Flask is just for making simple APIs, and I find it pretty easy to code. And Fast API is also easy, but and I probably believe, like, I started using the Fast API 2 or 3 days ago, and I found that it's pretty much amazing, and it also gives you the ability to render the docs swagger like a UI, so you can explain your API well, and you don't have to worry about it. I will be explaining it in my later videos, and I will make a separate video on that too if my time allows. Okay, just to explain, I will import the Wikipedia and the Flask module, and then I will create an app. You guys need to learn about this. This is the syntax of the Flask app and all. Pretty simple thing, you do nothing like then you have to create a route. I'll be explaining what these things are in a while. So first let's create a home route, then return hello. Okay, so what it does, what it's doing, and then I'll create why it's not working. Okay, I will write the full. I'll just these are the few basic requirement which you guys need to run a Flask app, giving it to this port to run it locally, and we'll also specify port. This port thing is completely optional. If you don't want to use any port, it will be using the default one. Okay guys, so in what now let me break it down for you guys. First of all, I have imported the Flask library and the framework or whatever you call it, and then we have imported the Wikipedia library, and then we have uh, defined an app. Okay, and then we have defined a route. A route is basically let's say our domain is example.com. Okay, so this is the route. Like this slash tells you that this is the home page. Like whenever example.com will be open, so you will be getting this hello. Like if you want to render result like example.com slash status, so you have to define slash status here. Okay, and like if you are defining home, so you have to define home here. So when you will call this particular domain point, then it will be returning whatever you have specified here. Okay, so I am just not specifying anything here, so I'll just leave it blank. Okay. So that's it. Flask app is ready, so we will just test it out if it's working or not, and we'll just run it. Okay, so here you can see it is running on HTTP this link. So what you have to do is just click on this, open it, and yeah, it's rendering hello. But now you can see it's just a text, and if I want an HTML code, I can just write HTML and then all those things like body or title and whatever you want, and then you can return it. So it will be returning the HTML code and it will render it. You will not find any difference in it, but when you go to the source code, you will find this. Okay, and if you don't know, you can switch to source code by pressing Ctrl plus U. Okay, so now let's change it to hi, and it's already, because I have enabled the debug mode. Okay, so it will automatically detect the change and reload the app. Okay, now when you will hit refresh, it will give you hi. Okay, cool. So what we need to do is we have to make an API. Okay, so we are going to return a JSON. What is JSON? JSON is basically the full form of it is JavaScript object notation. So it is basically an object defined in JavaScript. Okay, so in Python, you guys must know about data type, and I'll just hit comment here, and dictionary. Okay, so dictionary is basically something like this, which has a key and has some value. Okay, so this key value pair is basically a dictionary, and different programming language has a different structure of this. Like Python has dictionary, and then we in other programming language we use map, and then in JavaScript it is called an object. So basically the most popular form of this is JSON, which is the then object of JavaScript. So whenever you will write any code in dictionary, you have to convert it to JSON to return it as a like JSON data. So let's say I want to return a JSON data, so I will just copy this and return it here. And because I've used this here also, so I will wrap it in here. But whenever you will save the file and any error is there, it will be still stop the app from running because of, and then it will show whatever the error you occurred. Okay, so I'll just rerun it. Okay, so it's showing any error. I don't know why. Let's retry. Works. I'll just refresh it. Now you can see JSON value is returned. So okay, so every time it will not be a JSON, because I will just show you an example. I'll set it to true. This is Boolean in Python, and yeah, this is not a JSON. This is a dictionary. Everything is fine, but it's not a JSON, because in JSON, boolean is defined as true, and in Python it is defined as true. So both are different. So what we have to do, and like the most in the most of the web browsers, they use JavaScript and to render the results. So what we have to do is we have to convert this dictionary to a JSON, and what we will use the inbuilt function of Flask, which is JSONify. So what we will do is I will just wrap it inside a JSONify module, and you can see like currently it is returning capital T, but whenever you will wrap it in JSONify, it will convert whatever you pass in it into a JSON. So when you will refresh the page, and it will be yes. So what we have done is we don't want to pass it as a string, we want to pass it as a dictionary, right? So now it's fine, and notice this. Okay, so you will not run into any JSON decode error if you follow this. Okay, so now it's simple. Like you can store any kind of data you want in type of dictionary, and then wrap it as a JSONify object, and then it will handle all the conversion things for you. Okay, so this is the basic difference between the Python dictionary and all. You can note it as a difference also between the dictionary and JSON object. And these are just some basics. Now we will learn about this Wikipedia thing. Okay, so we'll just go to Wikipedia Python. I'll search. Okay, so PyPy. Okay, so PyPy is basically it's a collection of it as a website which keeps the collection of all the packages which is available for Python library, and Python library is a very huge package. You can find a lot of projects and all the libraries to make your life easier. Okay, so now we will learn the example. I have already imported the Wikipedia here, and now we will jump on to uses. Okay, so search thing is useful for us. We will just do it in a new, okay, wiki.py, just for testing. Otherwise I will be using in that only, Wikipedia. Now what we will do is just get rid of this and just change query to Google. I forgot to print the results. Let's rerun it. Let's see what we got. Okay, so you got so many search queries, but in general the first value will be enough for us. So let's see if it seems a list, so I'll just take the first. It should print Google, and yeah, that's working fine. So now I will get the details about this. Okay, so I don't want to enter this thing again and again, so what I will do, I will store it in a variable. Just define search query equals to another something. Okay, so I'll just get rid of this search query here. Okay, so what is basically doing, whenever I want to change the search query, I'll just change it here, and it will be updated everywhere from on whenever I will be using that variable. Okay, so what basically it is doing, user will give a search query, and then it will look for the first relevant result on Wikipedia, and then save it in the got query, and then we will get the Wikipedia page for that. Store it in the page variable. Now we can see the title, URL, content, links. Okay, so lots of stuff. So I will just copy it one by one. I'll just print it. Page.title is page dot URL content. Just looking for summary. Yeah, summary is it. And like you can see, a very useful argument is parse, sentences equals to 1, because I don't want to get a lot of summary. Okay, so I'll just keep it to one sentence. Okay, so this should do it. I'll just run it. View. Seems we have got a lot of results here, or a lot of data about Google. Search. So this is the page title, this is the page URL which we have printed here. This is the content. Content is like history, everything like grows and whatever we want. So we will get rid of this. We don't want lots of data about Google. And then somewhere down we will be getting a summary now. Page. Okay, we have just passed it in the. Okay, so this is a wrong syntax which I have used. Just copy this here and we'll get expand it and then got query. So what it will do, I don't want content is a very big data which we don't want to show in our API. What it does, it will just summarize the query in one sentence. Okay, so I'll just save it, clear the console and run it again. Okay, so the title is okay, the link is okay, and a one line summary is okay. And can we get some more interesting details? Okay, I will just get the first links. I don't know why, but let's try. It looks cool. I don't know if it is available for the Google or not. Let's see what link it gives. Maybe google.com or something. It's giving something else, so I don't want this. We'll get rid of this, and in the API we will showing three things: title, URL, and the summary. Okay, we'll quickly store it in a variable. So title equals to page.title and wiki URL equals to page.url and then summary equals to this. Okay, looks cool. So what we have done, like we have taken a search query and then we have found the title, Wikipedia URL and the summary for that. Let's change it to phone pay. Let's see what it happens. Should run fine. What happened? If we have not printed it, and we will quickly get rid of just a final debugging thing. Print the title, the wiki URL, and then print the summary. Let's see what it does. It should work fine. Taking a lot of time, I don't know why. Okay, this is the title, this is the URL, and this is the one line summary. Looks cool. So what I will do, I'll just copy these and define a function anyway I want. I'll call it get wiki data, then I will enter the query, then I'll copy these things and yeah, I'll define it as search query. I will get rid of this line because we were just made a function like in the previous thing was we are not any function, we have not defined any function, we have to change this thing manually, but now we have defined a function and we will pass the search query and which will be rendered here and whenever we want. Okay, so whenever we want to get the results we will just call this and then here we have a return statement with the title, with the wiki URL and with the summary. Okay, so works fine. I'll get rid of this, we don't need it. Okay, so whenever we call the home we're not passing any value, like we cannot pass phone pay whenever we are calling it here. So to pass a query there are two methods, like we can define You can define a route as like base url.com slash and then phone pay. Okay, this is a way, and pretty much it will work fine for it. And this thing I will be using this only because this seems sensible. But there's another way, and that is base url.com slash like whatever you want, and then question mark, and then query equals to sorry, query equals to phone pay. Okay, so both of we can get we can get the query in this inside this function using both of the ways. So both have some syntax changes and both have its own benefits, and I'll be explaining that. So let's say if you have some data which you cannot pass in a query, like it is a very big data, like some, let's say a magnet link, or let's say a link which contains like https colon colon and something else, and like xyz.com. Okay, so what it does, like it can treat this as an endpoint. Like that's what we use for an endpoint. Now, like if you want to define it like this, so how it will know that if it can get confused or the data can be very big or something like that. So if you cannot pass this as a query, then you should use post to send that data. And if you're just use a simple thing like you don't want and you don't have any queries, that's pretty simple, so you can use this part. Okay, I'll be using this first, and then I will be showing you how to do this. Okay, so to do this, what we have to do is we have to write a variable in these brackets. Okay, one more thing I will do is app.use scores. I don't remember the syntax actually. Most probably it was use strict URLs, or like what it does, just URL should show here. Okay, there is a mistake. URL map dot strict slashes, yeah, equals to false. What it does, like it treats this link and this link with no difference. Like if you will get a strict classes as false, then it will treat this and this both as same URLs. Okay, so now this is the query we passed, and if we pass this also, then it will don't treat it as a different query because we have mapped the strict slashes to false. Okay, so I'll use this, and this variable, whatever we have put it into the brackets, we can get it as in the function. Okay, it will not throw any error. And then I will change it to query and then pass query. Okay, so now let's run it first, and I will show you that it's working fine or not. Get this. Okay, it's not found because we have not defined any home route. It's completely fine because we have just changed the route to slash query. So I'll just change to phone pay. Yep, the query is phone pay. Whatever we will write here, let's change it to Sumanjay. Query Sumanjay. Okay, so now you know how to pass the variable from the endpoint to inside the code. Okay, so now we have the query, so we will get the title and wiki URL. I just enter URL, and then I will get a summary, and from where we will get it with this function. So we'll get wiki data, and then we will pass the query which we will be passing here. Okay, so whatever the query which we will be passing here, I will show you the web page where we are passing the data. Okay, so whatever the query we will passing it here, it will be stored in this query, and then it will be inside the called in with the wiki data function, and then it will get the three results whichever it is returning from here. And then what will it will do, and it will just send it to the server, web server. I will define more data like title and pass title, then wiki URL, and then pass the URL, then pass the summary, and then pass it with summary. Okay, it should be fine. You can see the code is already refreshed. Now let's see if it is works. Taking too long, but it works. Okay, so now you can see uh, it works. It's this is the query which we entered. This is what we got from the first results of the Wikipedia. I'll just show you how Wikipedia, how this, like when we search Google, we will be finding so many data which we are getting here. I deleted it. So, but we are using the first data only, like the first data. The first data is this one. So we are getting this Google and the title field and this wiki URL. Like whenever you will go to this page, so this is the URL which we are getting here. Okay, and the summary is Google LLC is like American multinational company. So it's an American multinational company. Okay, so this is the first line which we are getting. Okay, so pretty much good. I'll just change it to something else. Yahoo. Okay, so there is no summary for that. I guess they changed the paragraph or something like that happened. I'll just use it to search for Paytm. Fine, it works fine. Okay, so this is what how you can create your own APIs. This is how you can write your own functions and then return useful data and all. And so this was the first type, like when you will use this. Okay, and we have mapped the strict slashes to false, so I will be using, if even using this, then also it should not affect the result. Yeah, you can see it's working completely fine. Okay, so this was the first uses, like when we will you pass the func query as here, and there's another way to do it like this, and in this way we will be passing the query inside like arguments of. Okay, so what we will do is we will get rid of this first, and yeah, we can also define fixed thing, like if you wanted to set it to Google always, so no matter what you pass, it will directly, and you will throw error because it is already, we have not passed it in this angle brackets and we are directly using a static thing. So what I will do is I will just return it before it runs. Okay, so when I will change it to Google, it should return. Okay, so this is static, so you're not passing any queries and all, so you can you want anything, if you want to make it bigger also, then it will work. Just save it so the code refreshes. Now when I will enter this, it will obviously throw an error, but when I will change the endpoint, it should work fine. Okay guys, so now I'll be moving to the query part. How can we specify a query in it? So I'll just get rid of this, and just to make this okay, I'll just print the request.args. Okay, so this is what the args. Args is the dictionary, like original request.args is the dictionary of arguments which will be passing to it. Okay, and one more quick revision guys, like if you want to specify more than one query, like query equals to this and title equals to Google, and like you and whatever URL equals to this. Okay, so in this you are basically passing three queries: key, value, okay, and then again key, then again value, then again key, and then again value. So whenever you will pass the first query, you have to append a question mark before it, and whenever you are appending more queries, then you can follow it with and. Like here also you have and then you have also used and if you want to pass more, then you can again use and then site equals to like whatever value you want to specify. Okay, so here equals we are using this. Okay, and what about this base URL? Base URL is what we will get after deploying, or for local users like on your PC you can use localhost. Okay, and with the specified port, like whatever the link it is giving here. Yeah, this one is your base URL. Okay, so now what we are doing, request.args and return. Okay, so it will print the args in the terminal, so we have to take a note of that. I hope it is clear till now. And what happened to it is, okay, the request is not off. Okay, we have to import it from the flask. Yeah, yes, okay, so it's returning okay, and it has printed the args here because we have not specified any type of query our args, then it is not returning an empty one. I'll just quickly pass a query equals to Google. Yeah, now you can see it is a dictionary of immutable type with key query, and it's a tuple. Okay, a tuple, so that's why it's an immutable dictionary. So it's a tuple having key at the query and value as Google, like whatever you call it. It's not a key value pair to be precise, but still. Okay, so now what we want is we want to access the query part. Like, okay, so what we will get, we will use get query, and then it will print whatever the query, the value of the query key, like Google, it will print Google. Okay, so I'll just pass it and it should print Google. Why it's taking too long? Cut it and refresh. When we're not processing any data, why it's taking too long? Okay, I will get rid of this and I'll restart the server once. So, well, let's see if there is an error in code. I don't think so, but still should work fine. It's got stuck somewhere, I guess. Just refresh the server once and refresh it. It's returned okay, and Google is printed. Yeah, okay. Nothing was wrong in the code. Okay, so now let's keep it short with a Q, and then whenever you will change there, you have to change here. Okay, and Google will be printed. Well, let's change it to something else like wiki, and wiki will be printed. Yeah, okay, cool. So now instead of printing, we can store it in the query form like we did earlier, but we are not passing anything this, and then we will get rid of the return statement here because now we have got the query which we are searching, and now it should work like the same thing, like it will fetch the details of wiki. Great, now we will just test it with Google, and fine, works fine. Okay, so these were the two ways of passing an argument, or sorry, not argument, basically passing a query inside a API. Okay, so this is the basic thing, and yeah, you can you can define multiple routes also. Like it's not like you can define only one if you want to Google it. So you can simply use, and yeah, you cannot use the same function because function name actually, and return Google was called. So now whenever we call this, it should work fine with exceptions because we are not getting any query. It's null, so it will throw an error. Okay, that's understood, but what happens if So yeah, Google was called. So yeah, guys, this was okay, and then yeah, and now what we will move on to the deployment thing. Okay, so I will just stick to this one, like this format of calling it. So I'll just go here and call Google, not Google, what I'm writing. Just call query and pass it here. Get rid of this. Maybe I don't need it, but let's keep it. I'll get rid of arguments because I'm not using it anymore. And okay, so now we have the query variable here. Okay, everything is fine. So now I'll just test it. Okay, Google is called. Okay guys, one more thing, like we have passed a variable query, and then we have also defined the root for Google. So we cannot pass Google as query ever, because whenever a specific part is called, then it is given highest priority than this. Like it is a variable and this is a fixed, so the fixed one will be given more priority. So we will get rid of this, and then we will again refresh it, and this time there is no Google part, so it will be sent to this. And yeah, it's working fine. Like see, you can see everything is fine. So now what we will do is we will clean up the code and we'll get rid of this, we don't need this. And then we will move on to I'll just delete it, the deployment part. So our API works very well, don't need it, we don't need it. Okay, so this is a small example, and now we'll move on to deployment thing, and we will use Heroku for the deployment. Okay guys, so to deploy this particular API, we need to go to the code and need to do some additions in that. So for deployment to Heroku, we need three things. So first of all, we will we will create a new file, we'll name requirements.txt. Don't forget to append the last s, it's not requirement, it requirements. Okay, so what we will write in this file, we will write all the libraries name which we used, Wikipedia, and we used Flask, and we will also need Gunicon. So what is this Gunicon? Gunicon is like a WSGI server, so you don't need to explore anything about it right now. You just need to write in the requirements, and Heroku will install all those files. Like if we use any more libraries like requests and something, so we will just specify it here, and during the setup the Heroku server will automatically install all the libraries which we will use, which we will require in our projects. Okay, so next file is runtime. This will same as runtime.txt. So in this you have to specify the version of Python which you need to the server to deploy a new. Okay, so I'll just write 3.8.5, it should be fine. Okay, like if we are running on like we are running here for Python 8 3.8.2, so if you think that there can become compatibility issues or something like that, then you can just stick to the whatever version we are using for debugging. Okay, and local testings. Okay, so I will just keep it to 3.8.5. And okay, so this is another page. I have to specify what it is, so I will just write as Python 3.8.5. Okay, and then requirements and runtime, and then now we need to create another file, the last one, don't worry, and name it as proc file, and with no extension and the capital P. Okay, so what you have to write in it, it's the the command after the setup. Like this is for the requirements, that what the kind of libraries you are using in your particular app, and this is to specify the runtime version of the Python or whatever language you are using. Okay, so and what is the proc file? Like after the setup, after the setting up the in Python version of this, whatever you have specified in the runtime, and after installing the libraries which you have used in the requirements, and what command we have to fire up. So remember we are using Gunicon in that, so that will come to into use here. So what we need to do is we need to create a web interface, and we will be using Gunicon for that. Okay, and then app colon app, because our name is app.py, app colon app, and then we'll specify a timeout also of, let's say, 100 second. and then we'll also create a log file. Okay, yeah, seems okay to me. So proc file work is also completed, and this is like if you know, and you have to specify this in all formats. Like here also you can see I have specified the same thing, the same proc file, the same requirements, and the same runtime. Like runtime can be changed, it can be previous version. So any app that you need to do host on that, you have to specify that part. Okay, we don't need anything else according to me, so we can just go to, like, it's completed here. So now we will move to terminal, we'll close the server, we don't need it. And I will suggest you to create a GitHub repository, because then from there we will be enabling continuous deployments and all. Okay, just create a new wiki API. Okay. Repository will keep private, and then we'll description whatever you want to write. Like a simple example, Wikipedia API use, right? Okay, so now just if you create a repository, if you want to add a license and get ignore files, whatever you sort of works you can do. So now you can see there's a list of bunch of commands which we have written here. It is saying to echo a file with readme and md dot. We are not going to do that, but okay, we will just do whatever the GitHub is saying. We'll move on here. First of all, we'll do ls. I'll just clear it so that you can, I'll fire a terminal, then move to cd. Okay. Wiki API and then ls. Okay, all the files are here. So first I will do whatever it is saying, wiki API. Okay, so what it will do basically, it will create a readme.md file with hashtag Wikipedia API written in it. So now you can see a new file. If you want to read it, you can just okay, so you can read it using the cat command. So this is just create, because this the GitHub tells you to do that because it assumes that you have no files currently in your directory. If you want, you can just click on uploading. You can also upload file from the desktop version itself on the web also, but I don't suggest you that because the CLI tool is very easy and everyone should know it. Now step by step I'll just copy paste one command from here and paste it here. Git init, what will do, it will initialize a new empty repository in your folder, current working folder, whatever directory you are currently in. Then it will ask you to do add readme.md. Okay, I will not add readme.md, I will add all. It add dot will add all the files. You can see +5 here, and then I will just copy this. Let's say change is the text, whatever you want to do. I'll just get initial push, and then yeah, this is the most important part. This is the how to add this is to add the remote origin. Like okay, we are doing it from the terminal and we have specified everything, but we don't know yet that uh, we have to upload these files to which repository. So okay, so this will add an origin and set up a route between the local files and the wiki API repository which we are seeing here. Okay, so I'll just add this. Now it is successfully added. Just to get status to verify it everything is fine. Yeah, it's fine. And I will do git push origin master. It should take a while and it should use the compression techniques and all, and then it will, okay, it's completed. So when you will refresh this page, you will see all the files listed here, okay, and the time and all, and whatever I wrote here at initial push and these things, it will be reflected here. So if you, let's say if I do anything, any changes, and I wrote what changes I did, so whenever you will open my GitHub repository, it will be easy for me to understand it. Okay, now let's okay, it's ready. So now we will open heroku.com. We will create a new app. Like if you guys are new to Heroku, just sign up an account on that, and you will get a like interface like this. Create a new app and then write wiki API. It's taken, so flask, whatever name it should be available. Choose a region between Europe and United States and create an app. Okay, so then connect to the GitHub. repo name wiki, yeah, wiki API. Just connect to it. It will take a time and enable continue automatic deploys. What it does, like whenever you enable it, whenever you will push any changes to your GitHub, it will automatically fetch those changes and deploy a new version of your app with the changes reflected there. Okay, so now we will just choose the master branch and deploy it. It will take a while. First of all, it will install the Python version, then it will install the all pip and all the tools, then it will install the all the libraries which you have listed in the requirements.txt. Move requirements to flask and whatever waves it will do here. Here it is. It is successfully deployed our app on Heroku. Build is finished. We'll just go to the site. Okay, I will just check the code if I have. Yeah, it's working fine. We have not defined any home route. I will just show you. I will create that also later on. Well, I will just write any query and see if it is working or not. Let's change it this time. Let's search query. Some error. Just go to logs. Stand log file. Check it. Wrong brown. Not files. It's file. So now I have to push another change to the like we have enabled the automatic deploys. So whenever you will push any changes, it will automatically fetch that and it will automatically process it. But this time I will also like to define a new route, which will be a home route. We'll say it index and not pass anything, and will return API is up and working fine. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And now we'll just look at status. It will tell me that yeah, two files are modified. The proc file is, we have done some changes in the proc file. We have removed this S from here, and then we have also added a new app.py thing. Okay, so we'll just it's also specifying telling you to git add and commit. We'll do all of that in one. Git add dot and git commit and git push master. So I'll just do proc file fix and adding home route. Okay, push it and push to successfully to the GitHub, and then I will just go to activity and then wait for it to grab those changes from there and then start a new build automatically. Yeah, automatically got the changes from the GitHub, and then it will again do all the installment for you, like set up the get what changes are. This time it's correctly configured the proc file, and I will just check the logs if everything is fine this time. This is the previous log. Time it's starting the process, and yeah, build is succeeded. It says listening at this port. We don't need to worry about this. We just need to this part. Yep, it's working fine. Just render it in a JSON form. Yep, working fine. Like I will just do it from Google. Fine. Flask. Okay, so it's not got any query for Flask, so it's firing an error. I will just search for misspelled it. We have not catched any error. It's returning. Okay, fine. It's working fine, guys. If you'll search anything which is not available on Wikipedia, it will throw error because we have not handled that part, but you can easily handle that part also from your side. And I'll just show you what it returns if we go to home. API is up and working fine because we have specified it here. So yeah, that's what pretty much it, guys, for this video. And I hope you guys understood how the basic thing of firing API, the connecting the normal Wikipedia code. Like, this was the raw code, we can use it in the terminal, and then we connected it to the web using just three like 10 lines of code. And the power of Flask, we'll be able to get hosted on a website using Heroku, and we will got a link of that. And then, like, just like the previous in the previous session which I told you guys about the API thing, so now you can easily see that this is the base URL, this is the endpoint. And like if you want to specify the query part, you can do that. Like, whatever you want to do, you can do that easily. So yeah, this was pretty much it for this video. And in next video I will be explaining, maybe I will be explaining web scraping part, and then we will be fetching some part. First of all, I will write this part in the next video. We will write this part, like we will be getting the wiki data from Wikipedia, but this part I will be writing using web scraping. And this time I will be taking a more realistic data set, like some I will decide a website which you have to scrape, then we'll scrape, we will get relevant information from that website, and then we'll make an API of that. And then we will make a, like, whatever you want to do, you can to make an app, you want to make a bot, or whatever you want to do, you can use that API respective of the language. Okay, so that's all for this video, and I hope to find you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching.